Hey folks, Coach Patrick here, Nurse Nation, back with another weekly coach update. Took a little bit of time off there, so thanks so much for sticking with us, even though I wasn't here. This week, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a late season approach. But those of you here on the YouTube channel, I know you're wondering, the background is the same, but the shirt is different. Here, I'll stand up so you can see it. Brand new Endurance Nation team shirt. Here, let me see if I can get the back in here for you. You can check it out. You can see it. I can't even get down there. My goodness, all dialed in for you. A little bit of fun, little feedback from the team. This year had to probably say Endurance Nation on that shirt, not just the logo, although we do have this side. There you go. There's the logo, the red for the try, the blue for the epic. Intersection of just a bunch of awesome people doing incredible things with their fitness that empower this podcast and this video update for all of you. And then also just drive us all forward as a team to achieving our personal best. 2022 will be no doubt another build upon that for us as we head into a fantastic looking year. But today, that's not what I'm here to talk to you about, the team. And you can always check out the team and see us if you want to at endurancestation.us/join. You can become a part of the team anytime, partake in our challenges, camps, training, fun, coaching, all the good stuff. But today I want to talk to you about a late season start approach. Okay, so one of the biggest issues that I face as a coach from a conundrum perspective is helping athletes who've missed out on the beginning of the year. Now, with the pandemic and the way things have worked, the beginning of the year has been unique for many of us. For some folks, it's been overcoming illness or other work-related challenges. For others, it's been overtraining. Some people took the pandemic and went all in and did a whole bunch of stuff that actually has, in the long term, been short-term fun, but long-term perhaps set them back a little bit. For others, now that you're getting back to work, it's actually really back to work, which is amazing because yay, but also simultaneously boo because work, are trying to struggle and navigate that space between what they want to do and the realities that they're facing with their schedule. Regardless of whatever that situation may be, you haven't started on time. And now your job is to damage control. And that's a great deal of what I do here inside the team in general, is helping athletes sort out different challenges they face. I want to pass some of that on to you today in this talk. All right. So the first thing we want to think about when you haven't started correctly, you've been sort of sporadically active, you're not injured, fits and starts kind of, but not really. And you know that the season's kind of showing up, right? It's not bearing down on you yet, but it's present and you can see it. And every day you're like, ooh, I should probably be heading towards that marker. What's happening? The first thing you want to ask yourself is, not, what's the best workout? Not like, how much more time do I have left? Are we there yet? All of that stuff. What you really need to focus on is simple. Are the wrongs all gone? Is everything done? Like whatever that challenge is it done? Right? So if you had an Achilles injury, is it done? If you were sick, are you over it? If you had a trip, is it behind you? Right? And we need to know the difference between a challenge that you're continuing to face and a challenge that you no longer need to face, a challenge that you've moved beyond. On the physical side, from a health-related perspective, I'm hopeful that you have moved on and you're ready to get back to training. What we want to avoid is trying to start training in the midst of still wrestling with or trying to sort out that conundrum, the thing that has stopped you from starting your training. If you try and gain sort of initial traction when we're still in that tough spot, you'll be able to get some work done. Like you'll have spurts of sort of like I'm on track, and then you'll fall back again. And that process in and of itself can be really disheartening. So if we're going to apply your energy in any direction, I want you to apply it in the perspective of how do we solve this problem? Do I need to go see a physical therapist, right? Or a chiropractor? Do I need to refigure my work schedule? Do I need to block out my weekends or at least every other weekend? Do I need to sort of revisit like my sleep schedule now that I'm back commuting to work, right? What does that look like? So let's get all of that sorted, make the wrongs be gone. Solve that with your energy first. Like the old adage goes, if you're going to chop down a tree in the forest, you spend 7 hours sharpening that axe and 1 hour cutting down the tree, right? So let's do it the right way, okay? The second thing we want to do is come up with a creative weekend workout plan. By that, I mean, most of our weekends are generally free unless you are in a particular situation where weekends are abnormally crowded, young kids or whatever the challenges may be, or maybe you're just busy on the weekends. But ideally, we have 2 back-to-back days where you have some flexibility with your time. Flexibility not in the sleep in and then do whatever I want all day, because not very many of us have that flexibility, but rather flexibility where we could say, ooh, I can get up early, I can get a bunch of training done now outside of the challenges that face me during the week. So the weekends tend to fall into an area that we have a great deal more control, right? So you can still get some stuff done in the afternoon and still have some time for yourself in the morning. Generally speaking, most adult lifestyles. There's some flexibility in there. Can't get away with it all the time, but hopefully you can build some weekend workout time, which will be important to you. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it, and I've got them links here listed inside of our space, from putting large volume in on the bike, to understanding why we want to combine like swim, bike, run on the weekends if you're a triathlete. And I've got some videos as well for you to dive into on both of those topics to learn more. But essentially, what we're trying to do is maintain fitness during the week and build volume on the weekends as a ramp towards getting you back on track more quickly. So not the traditional training plan of interval work and then one long session and recovery on the weekend, which is that gradual buildup. This is going to be much more detailed, and that Monday through Friday will be short and compressed, 45 minutes to an hour of work during the day, lots of time for recovery, but the weekends are big and require some recovery during the week. This program, if you follow it for about 4 weeks, is the fast track way back to make sure that you're on schedule for your big race. So 4 consecutive big weekends in a row, alternated with Monday through Friday of smart training that consistently keeps you on track and is not overreaching, will really help you reaccelerate your timeline. Of course, you want to distribute your weekend time safely. We don't want to just do a ton of running or a ton of swimming or a ton of any single sport. We want some variety in there. We don't want to compromise all of your sleep time, but we do want to be crafty. There's lots of ways to do that. So check out those links that are below. All right. The second thing we want to think about, third thing we want to think about here. So I've done all the wrongs all gone and the weekend workout plan. The next thing is to adjust your goals sequentially. So most people will say, it's March. I haven't started training yet. I'm just going to get rid of that May race, or I'm just going to flush the July race, or I'll keep July race, but I'm just getting rid of the goals because there's just no way that I'm ever going to be fit enough to do the thing that I wanted to do. So let's just get rid of it. I'm really not a fan of that attitude. I mean, if it financially makes sense for you, it makes sense for your life and just clears things up for you, go for it, right? You know you better than I know you. Even though we go way back, my friends, we do. I don't forget. Seriously though, when we think about putting our goals out there, they are important milestones that we're attached to when we make them. And even though in different periods of time, we may have different motivations or timelines to those goals, it's easy to just get rid of them, but they're important to hold on to if we can. So rather than just getting rid of that July event, even though you're not going to be 100% for it, I want you to hold on to it and instead adjust our goals sequentially. In other words, you may have decided that, July was going to be your peak, and like August and September were going to be fun events that you're going to do. Well, in this case, August and September will become increasing in importance because we're moving sequentially across the course of the year. And then July will reduce itself in importance simply because it's earlier in the season and we'll still be in building mode when we get there. So don't just get rid of those goals and those milestones. Those are important parts of not only our plan, and we can stick to our plan, but we can use those events to train ourselves up. More on that in a minute. And instead adjust those goals so we can continue to go to these races, do what we need to do, have fun, enjoy ourselves, not worry about missing targets, and understand that this whole process is a progression towards that end goal, that new sequentially finishing goal that has you succeeding and doing really well. That's important. Okay. All right. This takes the pressure off of right now. Let me think a little bit about trying to cram training in. Where you're like, oh my God, I still got to get ready for July, but it's March. I got to do all this extra training, and we run into trouble, right? So you want to avoid that as much as possible. It allows you to prioritize your training so you know what you need to get ready. So if you need to be really good on the run, we don't have to try and cram that running in. We can say, oh, I've got 7 more months to build my run. Or instead, because this earlier race now that I'm going to be doing is not a priority, I'm going to focus more on the swim or the bike instead. And we have some flexibility inside that space to do the work that we need to do, which will keep you on track. Okay. Last but not least, it allows you to monitor your progress so you can see how you're doing. Because you don't have this crunch timeline to that next goal, we could say, oh, you know what? I've got actually like 4 weeks to this event, but I've got 10 weeks to that event. How am I progressing? More time gives you obviously more time to get fit, but it also gives you more flexibility with your schedule if you want to adapt things according to how your body is responding, in case we have an opportunity to take advantage of places where we can add additional training load or potentially reap additional fitness. All of that's really important. Okay. All right. Now the next and last piece here for us, and another strategy for those of you who are starting the season late, is all about racing into fitness. Now this is something that the pro triathletes used to do back in the day. Not the original Ironman builds, but like the early 2000s, a lot of male and female pro triathletes would do this, which is that they would sign up for a bunch of races. You didn't have to win a race to go to Kona back then. You could just do really well and still earn a slot because they were dropping slots to races instead of points. And so you had athletes doing multiple races in a year, 5, 6, 7 Ironman races in a year, which is not really healthy. But if you do it right, you can build your fitness over the course of those races. And many of those elite athletes were able to do just that. They would train up and establish a baseline level of fitness and then use events as those points of pushing beyond the baseline, raising their fitness, but allowing to recover. So instead of doing lots of training to build up to get to a race, they would train, do a race, recover, do a race, recover. And those races themselves were the mechanisms through which they maintained and also deepened some of their fitness, right? So racing into fitness is perfect for people who are super busy, right? Like if Monday through Friday is crazy, travel, conflicts, etc., then the weekends are great. And if you have a race, it's easy to block off time. Hey, I'm going to go do this race on Saturday morning. I'll be back by 1 p.m. Life is good. You just bought yourself like 7 hours of being awake to do something. You may invest it in a 1 hour race, or you can maybe do 4 hours of training, whatever it may be. But you get flexibility in your schedule when you add an event because events give you additional permissions. Okay. The next piece you have is that you can start to cluster races together. So you can find small fun races, 5Ks, local events, just off the beaten path challenges, whatever it is. You can find those and wrap those together and make lots of little consecutive weeks. So do a half marathon on one weekend. The next weekend, do like a fun event on your own. The weekend after that, do a hill climbing time trial. Whatever it may be, you can kind of piece together some of these little elements to create opportunities for yourself to build fitness and keep the schedule interesting as well. Beyond those events, you can also just roll your own. So we have events like Fun February, Mini March, Ultra May. You don't have to be in an official race in order to do the training and reap that reward. Sure, you get aid stations and plenty of bars and gels and so on, but you could also just create your own event that's far more specific to your goals for the course of the season, perhaps even more informative for you to get better at adapting your nutrition or your positioning or your equipment selections, whatever those might be. So that's also another option for you if you're looking for that sort of end of season value. And last but not least, the approach in this scenario of racing into fitness is TRA, which is training, racing, and adapting, right? So we will train, short window, we'll race, and then we'll adapt. Not recover, not time off, not TRO, but TRA, adapt. How do we adapt that work to maintain our progression to the next event? Maybe we only need a little bit of rest. So let's say you did a block of training and you came up, you did a marathon on the Sunday, and in 2 weeks, you've got a century. We don't want to take off a whole week from no exercise. We've got a century in 14 days. So we can do a little bit of like light aerobic work. So we'll train, then we'll race, and then we'll adapt and get ready for that next level, which is important. So we adapt, get back to training, race again, then we adapt, we get back to training, and we race again. You get the idea. So maybe it's less TRA and it's a little bit of ATR. Whatever it may be, the progression plan is simple in that there needs to be an opportunity for your body to absorb that work, but then also a place where you can be intentional about building some fitness on top of it. So the net is, if you've had a late start to your season and you're concerned about how things are playing out, don't go nuts. Don't worry about it. There's still time for you to get ready for your race, whether that means adjusting your perspectives for success within the context of that race, or making some strong investments in terms of volume and training, or using that race itself as one of the many stepping stones across the course of a season to build fitness. That fitness is still there. It's still possible for you to earn. We've just got to use this new version of a schedule to make sure that we maximize it for you in the best way possible. All right. I hope this is helpful, folks. Coach Patrick here signing off. I'll put the notes up so people can access it here on the YouTube channel and the podcast as well. I hope you're healthy and safe. You're looking forward to a good summer. I'll see you guys soon. Take care.